What's your favorite horror podcast?
Hello and welcome back to the On the Slab Horror Show, the show that we bring to you each and every Friday night. Gents, why do we do this on a Friday night?
Friday night is horror night. Ooh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Friday night is horror night. Well, actually, every
Always.
night's horror night. And especially for me this year so far, it's been all horror all the time. But tonight is the biggest horror release of the year so far. And what looks to be maybe the biggest horror release of the year.
Yeah.
We
All things considered, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say
it's
Evil
hard to
Dead
tell.
might
Like,
get up there.
it'll be very hard to tell because you'll have something that comes out, near December or something like Pearl and stuff are technically only coming out this year.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
I would still say this is bigger than Pearl. As good as X was, I think this is still bigger.
Well, it's got the name. And
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think X had did X have a cinematic release over here?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it
Right,
was really
okay.
awkward. Super awkward.
Oh yeah, I remember you.
Super
Come on,
awkward.
Ted.
But if you can't imagine by the sly little scary movie face behind the king there, or the new statue faces behind the tombstone there,
Yeah.
it is Scream 6. But first, the crew are here. Well, most of us.
You are not alone.
75%.
Always alone, baby. King, how are you?
I'm good, my man. I've been really looking forward to reviewing this. And I know it's a big one for Ted, so I'm delighted that he's on with us tonight as well.
And then the tombstone. Welcome back,
Yeah.
sir. It's been a while.
It's been a while now, yeah. There was no way I was missing this. I said it when we did the review of Scream 5 last year. There was no way you were getting a Scream 1 done without me. This was the one that I very early on. A lot of people have jumped onto the Scream bandwagon of, it is the best franchise. I've been on the bandwagon since the first time I saw the first one. This was the best franchise. It's my favorite in terms of slashers. Nothing for me comes close. Like none of the other slashers come close in terms of franchise. So when Greg said to me, "Yeah, we'll be doing Scream 6," I said, "Yeah, well, give me the time because I'll be on." But
I'll
for
make it my
anyone,
business to be there.
It would feel wrong without you, in fairness, Ted, you know?
yeah, anyone that is planning to go any further than this isn't spoiler free. We are going to be talking openly about the film. If you haven't seen it and you listen to this, don't fucking come to me. You spoiled it. Yeah, fucking spoil it because this is a fucking film review of the film, and I'm telling you now that we're going to discuss the film. So go any further, that's your own fucking problem.
Yeah.
Like.
So if you haven't seen it yet, turn off for now, and then when you've seen it, come back and watch our review because we always give great reviews, don't we, Ted?
You can send the complaints.
We do.
And I will put
We
them
give
in the
fair
box.
reviews.
That's the best reviews, except for of course, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No,
but you see, that's
true. We gave that a fair review.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference. That's between a great review and a fair review. When someone says they give something a great review, that means they've rated it very highly. That's not necessarily what happens here. We rate things as we feel, as we see them, whether that's good or bad. And that's what I mean by they're great reviews in that sense, but a fair review is the cleaner way of describing that. So everyone doesn't think they'll always say it's great.
Let's be fair. I done a review that ended up not coming out because things weren't to a liking.
Yeah,
I do tell it like it is, lads, and everybody knows it.
Yeah,
you do, and that's why we love you, Greggy. That's why we love you.
But right, lads, Scream 6, biggest movie of the year so far for me. Probably the biggest movie of the year, really.
Yeah.
Well, for us three, anyway.
Absolutely.
I suppose Ant-Man is going to be up there as well for people that are big into Marvel. But in terms of horror, this is probably the biggest name valued one to come out so far. Yeah,
it's a long way to go. I think Pearl is out soon.
Pearl's out later this month. Cocaine Bear came out earlier.
I can't wait to see that.
We may went to see that the other day, actually.
Is it Knock in the Wood? No, Knock in the
Cabin.
Oh, Knock in the Cabin.
Haven't seen it yet. But
Looks
that's another one.
interesting, doesn't it?
I'm hearing mixed reviews about that one, but
That's kind of always
as
the
I
way,
says,
isn't it? Oh, Winnie the
as
Pooh
it
comes out
says,
this year as well.
yeah, that got its cinematic release I think a week ago
Yeah.
in the UK, and I think it's next week that we get it.
Yeah.
And obviously a big shout out to the crew of Winnie the Pooh, obviously Natasha and Craig, friends of the show.
Sorry, lads. I've just done a quick look up here of horror films slated to come out in
We've got
2023.
Saw, don't we?
Saw 10, which I think that's actually going to be very good because it's their 10th in the franchise, which is insane
They'll
to
go
think
all out for it, yeah.
how many they've pumped out. One I'm not happy about, the Meg 2, because the Meg was shit. So
Yeah. Pity.
how it got a second one is beyond
I
me.
don't think the Meg was shit. It
Well, it
it's
wasn't.
very hard to do a good shark movie. That's just it. Like, well, don't get me wrong. I didn't think, like, when I heard Jason Statham was going to be in it, I was like, yuck.
No,
Yeah,
it's a fucking megalodon film. It's not only a shark. Like, so, like, you know, like, so that's something that huge is gonna cause problems, I think, you know.
I guess my issue is that, like, Jaws obviously top of the list of those type of films.
Yeah.
But the fact that Deep Blue Sea is probably still the second best shark film I've seen,
Yeah.
excluding things like Sharknado, which
They take the piss out of
cinematically
themselves, though.
aren't great, but I love Sharknado because the entire concept is just insanely funny to me.
Bonkers.
Yeah, like, I love how out there it is. Do you know what I mean? But in terms of actual film, yeah. So it's worrying that something like, you know, the Meg wasn't able to get past Deep Blue Sea. I don't think anything's going to surpass Jaws.
No,
But,
never.
Well, I'll never say never because there's always a chance. But
I will say never.
So will
In
I.
my lifetime, I will say never.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, you could be right, but I'll never say never that something won't be, like, that'll never be better than that. But the fact that nothing has been better than even Deep Blue Sea yet has been worrisome for shark films.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, there's always a chance that something's going to be good, but I don't think we're going to see anything better than Jaws.
Obviously, then for myself, you can see by my cap, Mutilator 2 is coming out this year as well.
Yeah, another big one.
And then there's one new interesting one that looks really good. I don't know if any of you have seen Last Shift. It was a movie that came out a couple of years ago.
No.
I remember wanting to see it, but I haven't seen it yet.
So she takes a shift, her last shift as a cop in the place where her dad has his last shift, and, like, all hell breaks loose. But friend of the show and former guest Shani Morrow stars in what is the new reimagining of Last Shift, which is only a couple of years old, in Malum, and it looks proper fucking vicious.
Okay.
Maybe Cheney can get us an old screener.
Yeah, no, there does seem to be a couple of decent horror films coming out, or at least ones that I'm willing to give a chance to. Like Infinity Pool is another one that's coming out that I haven't heard much about, but it's Mia Goth.
Mia Goth and Alex Skarsgård.
Skarsgård,
So hearing really good things about that.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I'm willing to give that a good chance. Do you know what I mean?
It's coming across the same way that Skinamarink did, though. People are
Have you
loving
seen
it,
that yet,
or they're
Greg?
hating it. Yeah, it's terrible. I watched 15 minutes and turned it off.
Yeah.
Sorry. If
No,
anyone
I haven't
watching
seen it
this
yet.
likes
So I will.
If anyone watching this likes it, fair play to you, but I got 15 minutes, and superstar Carl Grasso had texted me beforehand and was like, don't watch it. Don't watch it. It's
He
terrible.
said that to you, did he?
Yeah. I didn't listen, Carl. I didn't listen. I'm sorry.
Well, at least you only took 10 minutes out of our 15, whatever. Like.
Right. We're getting sidetracked here.
Yeah.
Shall we get into it, gents?
Absolutely.
Yeah, may as well.
What did we think?
I think Tombstone should go first.
Yeah, so when I left the cinema, me and Greg went to see this together, and when I left the cinema I said this might actually be the lowest on the list for me. Alright? But on reflection and thinking back to it, and I really want to go and see it again, so I actually might go see it again, because it's going to be a while before it's out, online or anything. But when I think back to it, I'm like, no, I really liked some of the kills. Like, they were really fucking brutal.
Vicious.
Yeah, like some of the kills were really brutal. The story, I actually quite liked the story. I think my disappointment came from the final act, sort of, in that I felt the story that they went with of the 3 killers, and I think I actually said it on the last show of this.
You've
Is
said,
something
you've said it on a few occasions.
Yeah, I don't know if I've said it on here, but I've definitely said it on a few occasions to the boys, that's always the way I thought it should have gone. But I always thought that it should have come, and it should have been Stu as the mastermind behind these 2 puppets that he's had. And they went with that, but obviously it wasn't Stu. It was the dad of the boyfriend from Scream 5, which, fine, I guess.
It was a safe play, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and like, listen, and that maybe is tainted to me because I've always wanted it to be Stu, and I keep wanting Matthew Lillard to come back, but he's kind of said that he's not going to come back, and maybe I just need to get over that. Maybe I just need to accept that Matthew Lillard isn't coming back to Scream, and he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to. But
wouldn't it be a nice and wouldn't it be a nice loose end to tie up, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the few loose ends out there
that people could get behind as well, actually.
Yeah, and I thought this would have been a nice way to, I don't think he shouldn't have been the police officer, because obviously that's too obvious. If that's Matthew Lillard, of course they should recognize him and go, hang on, you're Stu Mocker, like you were one of the original killers. So what I said to Greg was I felt that the police officer should have been, instead of it's fine for him to be the dad of the boyfriend from the 5th one, but he should have been in some way related to Stu, like a cousin or something. And then his 2 kids, Stu tricks them and goes, your brother was killed. She killed your brother, and he was the mastermind doing it the whole time. And that the dad was still actually just a generic cop. And that way you can kill the dad off a little bit earlier in the film, or have the dad be the one that went there with them instead of it be Kirby.
Yeah.
Have the dad go in, have them kill the dad, and then you're like, oh shit, now they're trapped in there, and where's Kirby? Like, she's like, was Kirby involved in this? Because she was from 4, and we never really heard from her again for what we're assuming is about 20 years.
Yeah, roughly,
yeah. 12 or whatever years. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, she could be involved in it, but they didn't go that way, and I think that disappointed me. But then as I've sat and reflected on it, I'm like, that's just my own personal bias of what I wanted, and that's not fair. It's not fair to judge the film because it's not exactly the way I wanted it, and overall it is very good. I don't think people were talking about this might be better than 1. It's not better than 1. It's not better than 5, and it's not better than 2. So I actually think it's about middle of the pack. And the thing is, even if it was last, I still don't think it was bad. And it's the same, like, I have 3 currently at the bottom of my list, and I don't think 3 is bad. I really enjoy 3. It's just, when you're doing a list of them,
Craven
has
tried
to be
go
there.
A little bit with
The comedy
with the times when it was coming out.
I didn't like that it was 1 killer in 3. That's the one thing. Like, that's one thing I really didn't like about 3. But that's fine. So it may or may not still stay at the bottom for me after time to watch it and rethink about it again. But overall, it's not as bad as I thought, but it's not the film that people were hyping it up to be before it came out. It's not.
King.
Yeah. So yeah, going in, I mean, looking at what we'd seen on the trailers, Ghostface, and like, as I've said this to the boys, of course, we've discussed this at great length because we've all been dying to see this film so much. But so we went to see it with Kerry because she's like, Scream is her favorite franchise, which I think is brilliant, and I agree with her. Actually, it's the best franchise in terms of quality and consistency. But anyway, so you see Ghostface, and like that first scene in the shop where he's fucking your man up and he gets the gun and all that, man. I'm thinking
That
this
that
is a
ad, that ad
this
was
is
fucking
yeah,
savage, wasn't it?
this is a badass fucking Ghostface that I can get behind and believe.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going along with this and I'm thinking, yeah, so it has to be somebody who has some sort of physical training or something, right? But knows everything. And of course, early enough on, I kind of assumed it was the dad. But I would have been happy if it was. Now I know you're not into the one killer thing, Ted, but if it had just been the dad on his own, I would have been like, well, okay, fair enough, because he's doing all these physical things. The way he jumps over the fucking chair, like
Yeah.
in one go. I'm not believing that little young one Quinn is doing that. And I know maybe she wasn't that in that particular point, but even I'm not believing that her being as vicious as Ghostface was, you know. So in terms of overall, yeah, I enjoyed the film, but like yourself, Ted, I think the third act let me down from the reveal, you know. Uh, yeah, so like it's just a pity because I'm not believing those two kids are going to be able to fuck people up the way that Ghostface did because the kills were just sublime. They were sublime, you know?
The
Um,
one that gets me was the whole one with Gale. So obviously they're in the park trying to catch him. The dad's with them. They
Yeah,
leave the dad behind, steal his car. So you know it's not the dad that's in Gale's house, right? The brother is far too skinny to pick up Gale's boyfriend and throw him through a bookcase.
yeah.
Far too skinny. And it's definitely not the girl that does it. So it doesn't make any sense, some of it, in terms of the kills. Now, don't get me wrong, that Gale chase fight scene
Oh,
was fantastic.
it was
yeah.
brilliant.
Now, I will say that I think all of the films have been guilty
Doing that, yeah.
of
Yeah,
making the killer a bit too strong for what he should
Apart
be
from
able
the
to do.
first one. Apart from the first one.
yeah. Like they did it in 5 and they've done it again. And I'm
Yeah,
like, oh,
Yeah.
why do it again? Like, you know?
yeah,
Unfortunately, it seems to be like we obviously surmise that the shop scene is the dad
Yeah.
yeah,
because obviously the brother and the sister are upstairs when they walk down.
Mm,
yes,
So that has to be the dad, which is fine. You understand that stabbing your man in the neck, taking the gun, shooting your man in the face. That looks like someone that's handled a gun far too often.
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Um, but some of it just okay was a bit random, and we've seen it throughout the Scream franchise, and it's probably the worst mistake they make in
Yeah.
all of them. Or the worst mistake they make is the fact of how clumsy he is. Doesn't matter.
This,
I
this
understand if it's one person that's clumsy,
mm.
but this has been 9 different people now, or 10 different people.
And you know what? I think that's I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, Ted. I think that's a little bit of a, what would you say, like a comfort thing for Scream fans. Like this Ghostface is always clumsy. He's always
See,
able to get smacked in the face or punched or whatever. Like, you know.
I think it adds a little bit more realism to it because you have to
Yeah.
keep in mind this is a guy who's running around in what's
Halloween
essentially
costume.
a huge robe, right? So it is going to get in the way of your running and stuff. And he is always chasing people, and the people are always, and I know it's usually like small things, but like honestly, try and run after someone and have them knock something down in front of you. You do either have to stop or jump over it. Like you do have to rearrange. So I do buy the whole, oh, it's very easy for them to trip over or to get caught with something. And there's obviously a confidence there, like they truly believe that they're like unstoppable. So I don't mind that too much.
I can't imagine the vision out through the Ghostface eyes.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's great
Pretty
either.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I accept the whole clumsiness and, getting tripped up. And they never make, other than the fact that they always seem to be able to throw the kind of nobody characters around, like Gail's boyfriend, who is a big guy. Like it is a bit silly that, Gail's character shouldn't be able to do that. And then like even in 5, Dewey, she like kind of lifts him off the ground, and it has to be the girl in 5 because obviously
Richie's standing there.
Richie's standing there, so it can't be Richie. So things like that are a little bit inconsistent, but again, it's Hollywood, it's films. There's meant to be a little bit of like unrealistic stuff that's happening, but the rest of the kills I think were very good. Like the dad is obviously, I think we're all accepting that the dad is the one in the shop.
Yeah.
Um,
Could
the
you
one-
imagine though? Sorry, Ted. Could you imagine if the studios just actually thought about that for a second and did kills that made it look like it was Quinn or it was the brother.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I was going to come on to here. So
Sorry.
the next kill I think we see is the girlfriend up in their room.
It's Quinn herself.
No, well, we don't see Quinn really get. Well, yeah, she doesn't get killed, but basically,
well, she does. Yeah, she gets thrown out the door with her fucking throat slit.
Yeah, but it can't be her that does it, so it has to be the brother, right?
Yeah, it has to be the brother. Yeah,
has to be the brother, and that's where I think they did it well, because when they did the next actual person to get killed, well, Quinn's boyfriend or whatever, he's dead in the bathroom, right?
Oh yeah, he's all sorts of fucked up.
Yeah, he's all sorts of fucked up. He's dead. But the next kill we see is the
ladder.
The ladder. And what I liked there is that, he didn't just go, tip it over. It was a struggle for him. He struggled to tip that ladder, even though the person on it was quite weak and stuff. And so they did play into the fact that he's not insanely strong there. There was work put into that kill.
Now, the one thing I took from that was he was being, as much as it looked like he was working as well, he was being sadistic with it, pretending to tip it, because all he had to do was just push that.
In an essence, yes, if you just push it, right? But the issue, I think, and I actually was glad that they didn't do that, because if you just push it off the thing, right? To push it off, you need to be pushing it further into the room that the other guys are in. So you're actually pushing her closer to the room that she's trying to get to. And if you do that, when it falls off your end, you've got 3 other people over there. If those 3 people grab and brace the ladder, they'll be able to hold it until she, and just pull her in. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad they didn't go with that. I do think there was a bit of sadism to him, of him jostling it to kind of, is she going to make it? Is she going to make it?
I like that. I thought that was cool, actually.
But that kill is brutal. And actually, we missed out on 2 kills because 3 kills.
The first two were just...
The first one on Samara Weaving, which is very reminiscent of the original Scream. They got a big name actress in, and they were just like, you're here literally just to get killed, which was great. And then they have Tony Arioli, and they just have him get killed as well. I thought that was very good, because when I went to see it, I was like, oh, please don't go down the route of we know who the killer is from the start. Please don't go down that route, because part of Scream is the whodunit thing. I don't want to know who from the start. So I liked that they kind of tricked me with that, and then we're like, nope, he's dead as well. That's fine.
Yeah, Samara Weaving got a rough one.
Yeah.
She did.
And I love the fact that they played off that she was a movie buff, she's a horror movie professor, and got caught with it. I think there was some really fucking good scenes in this, though. Really.
Oh yeah.
As you said, that ladder death scene where she falls and hits the bin. Jesus Christ.
Is that the worst one for you boys?
Yeah.
It's not the worst one for me.
What's the worst one for you?
When she stabs him in the mouth, when Jenna Ortega stabs him in the mouth, and then twists the knife to make sure of it. That's the worst one for me, because
the whole cinema just went.
Yeah.
Right. So what makes that one worse for me is, right, you have to imagine putting something into your mouth that's sharp and it's going to scrape your teeth, because you're not getting your jaw open enough, because one, you're not trying to get your jaw open enough in theory for someone to stab you in the mouth, right?
Yeah, you're not gonna go.
So that has to come through, it's going through your teeth. Even the thought of the grinding of that on your teeth is just ugh. So that's why I think that one's so bad, because you've got that element, and then it just looks absolutely brutal as well.
I love how she was obviously so innocent in the first one.
She's not
now being okay, I'm alright. Do you know actually who got a bad death? The fucking psychiatrist.
Oh yeah.
Again, but that's a very good, it was very well done, because he looked through the window,
yeah,
and it's just a stab through. Anyone could do that. you know, like it's glass. If you like anyone with enough force is going to get a knife through glass.
The,
Like, you know what I
the
mean?
cinematography there for the where it's the frosted glass and you just see the mask coming up to it.
Ah, it's deadly.
Brilliant. And then obviously the train scene.
Perfect.
Best scene,
little
two
scene.
best scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, lads. Sorry for cutting into you there. Did you notice that, like, the killers will do an awful lot of stabbing kind of around the stomach area?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's punishment stabbing really, because that's
Yeah.
gonna die a slow death.
I like that consistency. That was cool.
Now, Mindy stabbing on the train was a bit off. It was probably the worst of the train scene because
Yeah, like how
there's so
no one
many
noticing.
people around, right?
Yeah.
And I know, and it obviously has to be,
When
Quinn doing it, right?
Yeah.
But like, she has her hand over her mouth, but there's still a whole lot of space that you can make noise. And I know it shouts to the people beside them, but that train is packed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, the person there is asleep. That's fine. You might not notice something going on in front of you. Everyone else on the train isn't asleep. Like, surely somebody saw something.
there
That's
should be
probably
some sort of screaming going on, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the least well done one of them, I'd say.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I know what you're gonna say,
The
Greg.
second
you know.
worst one.
Yeah.
Chad stabbing about
Yeah.
52 times.
No,
And
but
he's telling Jenna Ortega to run as if nothing's happening.
And he is getting stabbed in both sides of his chest,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be
Whilst
hitting hard.
happening, and he's just like, run.
yeah, but I can understand. Like, he says run, and then he gets like dragged to the ground. I can understand the you know, the people you care about. You're like, listen, I'm done for. I can understand getting that last bit
I
out.
get that. It's his facial expressions as if nothing is happening to him. He's just talking as if nothing's happening. He's been stabbed about 5 or 6 times at this stage.
I know.
There's a
yeah.
bit of blood coming out of his mouth, and he's just talking as normal.
Yeah.
That's the worst one for me. And don't get me wrong, that's only a minor thing.
But they could have let one of the core four die, couldn't they?
They should have.
Yeah,
Is it-
absolutely.
This is probably one of the things, and it was one thing I was upset about, is I loved the Core 4 thing. I like genuinely loved the whole Core 4 thing about how everyone was against it except him. He was like, real Core 4 lads, and they were all like, no, like that is just so fucking cringy. What are you talking about? But he just wouldn't let it go until they eventually all accepted it.
Wouldn't that have made it even more poignant if he had been the one to die?
Yeah,
And
so
then going forward, they could have really hammered home the core, the core group,
So I did say this to Greg as well. This is something that I was like, I love the idea of the Core 4. Somebody probably should have died. It can't be Ortega, and it can't be the sister, right? The two of them.
It's either the brother or the sister.
It's one of the two twins, right?
Yeah.
Now, he ends up being the love interest to Ortega. So I see why they wanted to keep him alive, right? Completely understand. Even though his like attack is probably one of the worst, so he probably should die. But I see why they want to keep him alive, because the comparison there is from the original films. You kind of had three. You had Sydney, you had Gale, and you had Dewey, right? And like obviously Randy survives the first one, but he dies in the second, which is why I really thought one of the twins was going to die here.
Yeah.
And I like that I kind of do like that they didn't just follow that, because then it would have been too much like the second film, you know. Oh yeah, one of Randy's descendants dies. So I kind of do like that they didn't go that way. But you had the love interest between Ortega with Dewey and Gale. So they wanted to keep a love interest story here, because it does work quite well, you know.
Yeah.
Will they, won't they, every time it looks like it, and then it doesn't. And then all the time in those first films, you were kind of like, is it Gale? Like, is it one of Gale or Dewey? Like, have one of them snapped? So I do like that they've kept that. But then the sister, you're kind of like, yeah, she probably needed to die here.
She was most annoying as well.
I actually thought it should have been Barrera himself.
See, I don't think that, like, as much as big a name as Ortega's becoming, Barrera is the main.
Oh no, I know she's the main. I think that would have been the ultimate twist here, though. That, the way Jenna Ortega was like, "You have to let me go."
I like the two. I like the two sisters. I wouldn't. I think I would have
I-
felt a bit shortchanged if Pereira had been killed. Now that's just me. Now.
I think
I
I
think
think
you
it would have
need-
been I think it would have been one for her to save Ortega and maybe get stabbed in the process herself. But she's came through this unscathed out of the two of them.
No, she's been stabbed a couple of times, I think. She was definitely
No.
stabbed in the 5th.
Well, she escaped 6 without anything.
Here's what I want to know, actually. What do you think of
Bar,
this? What do you think it is now? Sorry, Greg. Sorry, I'm cutting across you there. So those the twins have been stabbed, multiple times. Are they going to be in any shape to fight Ghostface in the next one?
They will be Ghostface in the next one.
Is that what are we putting our hat on that now, Greg? Or
I don't think so. No,
It's just a one. I'm keeping to my pick here, lads. I'm keeping to mine.
who's your pick?
Gale's behind it all.
no, I don't think so. And I have said this to you. I don't think so. One, I originally didn't think so because that's the plotline of Scary Movie, right? So
That's why Greg thinks it.
So I don't think Scream will go that way because they'll be like, we don't want that in any way tied to them. And then two, they even reference it in this film where they're like, it would be just so easy for it to just be Gale, wouldn't it? It'd just be so easy for it to be. The fact that they've referenced it, I just think no.
They also referenced be careful of the love interest in 5, and it was in fact the love interest.
Yeah, but that's because it was the love interest in the first one, and they reference that in the second one, and they reference it in the third one, and they reference it in the fourth. They always say it's going to be the love interest. They always say that. You know what I mean?
I get that, but
whereas this is a fan theory that they're basically addressing. They're like, here's a fan theory that it could be Gale the whole time, and that's why I don't think.
Pretty fucking good.
It would be interesting to see how it would go. Actually, yeah.
Possibly, I don't see why Gale would have put herself through the level of brutality she's gone through if she's masterminding it.
Well, she got shot in the shoulder. She's been stabbed 3 times.
Well, in the first one, she gets stabbed and shot. Second one, she gets shot. I think she gets stabbed and shot again in the second one.
Why would anyone openly want to do that? You know,
like third one, she gets battered around as well. Fourth one,
she's made of plastic.
Fourth, does she get stabbed in the fourth? I can't really remember. Fifth, she gets.
She does get stabbed in the fourth one in the barn. Remember, she's setting up the webcams.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, so she's stabbed in the shoulder and stuff. Then the fifth one, she gets stabbed as well. And then this one, she gets like completely brutalized. I don't like. Why would you let yourself get brutalized to the point where they were like, she has a weak pulse, like a weak pulse. So like,
I thought she was dead actually at that point.
She should have been dead.
She probably should have been, and I think they are just giving themselves a way to bring her back if they need, but also giving themselves a way to let her go if they need to. So obviously, like, one of the big complaints is Sydney not being in this, right? And one of the biggest complaints I've seen online are people are like, the screenwriting for 5 and 6 are so bad. Like, in 5, Sydney says she's not going to come back because she doesn't want to, she doesn't want this in her life anymore. And then in 6, she doesn't come back because she takes her family away to hide them away. And that's never been Sydney's MO. Listen, it's always been Sydney's MO to run. Yeah. Always. I don't understand this whole, no, Sydney never backs down from Ghostface. She's hiding from
her family. Yeah.
She's the first one. Okay, she's the main focus. I know she's the focus on all of them, but in the second one, she's in college, but she won't go out. She won't do anything. It eventually gets forced on her. The third one, she's made herself a fucking recluse, and then by the fourth one, she's eventually gone, it's all over. I'm gonna write my book and just live the rest of my life. And she comes back and she's again forced into it, and from here she is willing to protect her family. But she's like, let's get out of here, because the second it starts again, she's like, let's get out of here, and they're like, you can't, Sydney. The fifth one, She comes because of Dewey. She was staying away until Dewey died. So there's no reason to believe that she wouldn't have stayed away here. So I don't understand this whole idea of people being like, that's not Sydney's character. They've completely destroyed her. No, like, and I understand they had to do something because she, she didn't sign up, like they didn't get her signed up for the film or whatever. But it doesn't destroy her character. She wants to get her family away to keep them protected. The killer isn't coming for her anymore. The killer didn't come for her in the 5th one. The only reason she came back is because Dewey died. The killer isn't coming for her anymore. So why should she be getting herself involved anymore? Like, why would she want to?
Over.
Yeah, like, why would she want to get involved anymore and risk her family? She's a mother of, I think they say, do they say 3 or 2 in the film? She's a mother of 2 and then has a husband and stuff. Of course she's not going to want to come back.
The husband is the cop from 3.
Do they ever confirm that?
Yeah, Mark Kincaid is his name.
Oh yes, they do. Yeah, they say it in the 4th one, isn't it?
4th one and in this one, and 5 as well. How's Mark? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's the 5th one they confirmed that.
Yeah.
It's Mark that she's married. Yeah, sorry.
But like, people have to realize franchises move on. Nightmare on Elm Street moved on. Texas Chainsaw never really had one. Like, Marlon Burns was great, but it was only a 1 movie thing. Like, obviously,
gentlemen, yeah, I personally, as the Texas Chainsaw fan in the group, it's a 1 film franchise in my opinion.
But that's what I mean. Like, that's why I can't bring that one in. Halloween tried to move away from Laurie, and eventually had to bring her back because the films got weaker.
Yeah, the story needed. But I don't see people didn't have a problem with Sydney not coming back for this one. The problem that I've seen people have online is they're like, it's not in line with her character, and it is in line with her character. That's like, I've always felt this is in line with her character.
Yeah.
To stay away as much as she can. Like, she only came back because Dewey died. She came back to pay her respects to Dewey.
She wants to stay away from the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just on that on Scream 5, that I sent the picture in there the other day into the group.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. That scene in the hospital. I fucking love it as well. Like, as much as I don't believe she could do that to Dewey, but
it's an honor.
It's an honor. That was the original. That's one of the original legacy characters gone.
Yeah. Which is why I thought we'd lose one here. I thought we'd lose Gale.
I thought we would have, yeah.
Now they've kept the option open, and I'd say they've kept it open in the hope that they'll get Sydney for
if
a
they get her
future
back
film.
for the next one. If Sydney signs on for 7, right? Gale dies, and I wouldn't be surprised if Sydney goes too.
But see, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if Sydney signs back on, I think the next film will start in the hospital with Gale.
Yeah, and it'll be.
Which would be cool, actually.
And she'll get killed in the hospital, and that's what will bring Sydney back, because her last friend, I guess. I know her and Gale have always had issues, but her last friend that she survived through all of this stuff with has died, and that's why she's come back.
It's also the last words. Tell Sydney that he didn't get me. He pretty much did get you. He fucked you up big time.
that was just more of a thing to be like, it'll stop Sydney coming back. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah.
But you know something? I mean, it like, the great thing about the advantage that the Scream franchise has over all the other ones is, as we all know, Ghostface could be anybody, because it's like, literally, it's a Halloween costume that's readily available, and I think that's why it's going to be able to keep going on and going on once there's a strong storyline,
Now, this just before we start to get into the third act on this, right? How good was the decision to use the DNA masks from all the originals?
Brilliant.
It's brilliant, yeah. It's very well done, and like the fact that the masks get physically, like, you can see that they're physically aged each time.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
And then obviously the final 2 masks being Nancy,
Stu and Billy.
Not Nancy. No, it wasn't Stu and Billy. It was Billy and his ma's masks were the last 2.
That's great, yeah.
No, they want her to put on Billy's mask.
He has Billy's mask on.
No, he has Stu's. He takes out Billy's. The whole point is they want her
to
wear Billy's.
Santa to put her dad's mask on, don't they?
They want her to put Billy's on.
Yeah.
The daughter is
Stu.
wearing
Uh,
wearing the mother's, and the son is wearing Stu's.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, because she goes, it's your grandmother's.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I was mixed up the characters there. And then when she puts on the mask herself, it's just
Well, see, it's not just the mask. She puts on the whole thing. That's the
yeah.
big thing about it.
Mm.
She
It's
puts on
setting
the
her
whole
up
get
to
up.
be the next.
See, I think they're trying, like, that's a complete red herring. I don't think she's ever going to be the killer.
No, I don't think
They
so.
they
That's what they're
keep trying
setting
to
up.
make it more and more. You know, like she keeps giving into the memory
Visions.
of her dad, like the visions and things like that, and touching the
The
touching the
glass.
glass box and everything, which looks really cool. Like the 9 things looped around with him in the middle, like 4 on each side, looks fucking brilliant. Um, and then like obviously all the other memorabilia, like and drawings that were done by fans. I thought that was really cool.
Having the TV. They really, really set up the option for Stu here, though, didn't they? Like I
Yeah.
said to you coming out of the cinema, first time you see the picture of him, they make sure to put the words "dead 1996" underneath it.
Yeah,
Then they keep talking about him, keep talking. I said to you when they went into the kill box first, I was like, "There's the T-shirt," and I says, "There's the TV,"
yeah. They left it open, but they didn't go with it, right?
and
And
then they used the TV as well, and I was like,
yeah,
"Well,
well, that's what I was going to come to. Another character that they brought back for this was Kirby.
ugh,
Now Kirby is one of the characters that a lot of people didn't like because she came from Scream 4, which a lot of people didn't like because it was the step away from the originals. I actually quite like it. I actually think it's better than 3. I think the story throughout it is better than the one in 3. But that's just personal preference again. But they brought Kirby back, and my biggest issue with Kirby is that and I understand she's grown up. It's been 10, 15 years or whatever. She's grown up. She's become an FBI agent stuff. My biggest issue is that they've changed her character more than I wanted it to. In Scream 4, she's got the kind of the edge of being like a bit of a tomboy, very very confident in herself.
Yeah.
No real fear or anything. And then she comes into this and she's a bit more, even though she's now an FBI agent, she seems to have lost that
edge."
confidence. Yeah, like the
It's
edge, the
probably
kind of tomboy.
maturity. It's probably maturity in the character. You know what I mean?
It is, but it does, like, they don't really explain it all that way. Like obviously, oh yeah, I was terrified because I got stabbed and I thought I was going to die and this, that, the other. That's fine, but it's just like she now has she has the longer hair, which grand. Yeah, she's grown up. She doesn't want the shorter hair anymore. That's fine, but she just doesn't have that personality of being like a bit of a tomboy, a bit of an ass
Yeah.
kicker. Do you know what I mean? They kind of took that away from her here. And I would have liked that to stay there. But I did like the idea that they toyed with Kirby as the killer, and everyone was willing to believe it because they're like, well, where have you been for the last couple of years? Yeah, you went off and worked with the FBI, but where have you been? Like, honestly, where have you been? Like, there was another killing since the last one, and you didn't get involved. And what, now you're back? What brought you back this time and not the
Something's
last time?
adding up here, yeah.
Yeah, like just very, oh, well, where have you been? And like, you don't really have any connection to anyone other than that you got stabbed and you didn't come back the last time. So, what's the story here? And it did leave it open, and then she obviously goes missing in the final third. And we learned it's because she got knocked out after they've told them, after like the dads rang and been like, it's Kirby. She got fired by the FBI 2 months ago, and this, that, and the other. That is very well done, because then when you don't hear from her again, you're like, oh, yeah, it could be Kirby. I'd buy it being Kirby.
And then it's minutes later, while she's on the phone, someone gets attacked.
Yeah. And then the twist of when the dad gets in and he just shoots her. That's a really good twist.
He forced it her.
Yeah. Now it's a bad shot, but But again, she's believable to be able to be a weapons expert and stuff because she's in, she's got FBI training. So I'm willing to believe that she knows how to handle a shotgun, handle a weapon, and get out, like, do the physical stuff of jumping over the chair and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I never really bought her character this time.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, never really bought it, unfortunately. Um, the kill box obviously is the scenes that people seem to have a lot of problems with. The final third, the reveal, okay, meh. I think it let the movie down, but I mean, you can't be strong revealing every movie. You can't do it. It just doesn't work. Like if you get one bad reveal out of six, you're not doing too bad. Actually, I didn't like the reveal in three either. It was pretty easy to pick Roman as the one in three.
Yeah.
But 2 out of 6 movies isn't bad.
You see, I think the reveal is only bad because I think as much as I wanted it to be Stu, I think everyone genuinely thought it was going to be Stu,
Do you know
and I
what?
think that's let a lot of people down.
I said to you halfway through, I wonder are they going to use this as Stu, and then obviously we remembered halfway after that. Then it was like, oh no, he was an only child.
Yeah.
But I think 2 out of 6 mini reveals. I have to sit and watch this again to
Yeah.
to put a proper judgment on it. But just before we wrap up tonight, lads, I'm gonna throw a couple out there. Favorite kill?
For me, was probably kill was probably the one with the dumpster.
I think the dumpster one's the most like the cinematography for it is brilliant. So the
Yeah.
most visually pleasing, that's the best one. The one that I'm like, ugh, is the stab through the mouth.
Yeah. But if you had to pick,
Greg?
which was your favorite one?
Oh, the other one's the dumpster's my favorite one. I'm just saying that one's the worst kill.
Yeah,
Mm.
probably. Dumpster for me.
Yeah.
Favorite scene?
Probably the subway scene on the subway. That was class.
I'm just throwing these out here as
Yeah.
hypotheticals.
Yeah, subway scene is very good. The scene of the when you see the roommate in her room, the love interest for the older sister across the way, and he can see the killer behind her,
in the background.
and then he can see them in the other room, and he's like banging on the window trying to get everyone's attention, and then he rings her, she ignores it.
He
I think that's a
airdrops them
very
or something, didn't
no,
he?
then
Whatever he does, because all 4 of them get it.
no, then the killer sends an image of him killing them, of him killing the roommate. Well, killing the roommate.
Killing, yeah.
Yeah. So that I think that scene is very well done. But yeah, it's probably is the train scene with the twin sister on it, where it like gets dark and he moves slightly forward, gets dark, he moves a little.
And he's gone.
Yeah.
I think the shop for me.
Shop's very good as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's so many great elements to this film. It's just, as we said, collectively, the third act lets it down. That's all.
Right, let's go. Final question of the evening, gents. How many out of 5 are you giving it?
Go on.
Sorry, second last question out of 5.
Right. Tombstone, go for it.
Without the second rewatch, I'm probably going to go 3.5. I'm not fully sold on the film yet. But some of it is my own bias, and if I can move past that, it'll probably move to a 4. It just depends on if I can move past the idea that I want it to be Stu.
King?
I would be the same as a 3.5. I want it to be a 4, but for the reasons I brought up earlier on, I just left the cinema feeling like I wanted that to be amazing, but I was just like, okay, it was alright. Like,
maybe need a little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit more consistency. You know what I mean?
I think if one of the core 4 dies, I think it does change the perspective. Or if Gail dies, the fact that they announced that she's alive or that she's still hanging on, I think does hurt it.
Anything. They should have just left it when she was, whatever, dead or dying on the.
Yeah.
Possibly, but I think as I said, I do think that is the setup for the next film, and I think if they go with that setup, it gives us a really strong opening. Like, because this had a really
Yeah.
strong opening
Yeah.
to it.
Absolutely.
As it says, it's got to be. I've got to watch it again. I have to. I'm not sure where I'm going or what thing. I really enjoyed it for the first hour and a half.
Mm.
Like, I was edge of the seat stuff for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe the runtime might have been a little bit long if you were going to do it that way. But for me, without a second rewatch, I'd say 3.
Yeah, and I think that is fair. Yeah.
I think maybe with a second rewatch and catching some of the stuff that I might have missed or whatnot, it might jump higher. But for now, it's a 3.
Mm. Okay. Well, let's rewatch it a couple of times each and see what we
See
think.
how we get on.
Yeah.
Right then. Last question before I finish this out. What's your ranking off the top of your head? Where are you putting it? Middle of the pack?
Middle of the pack.
Yeah. One
Out of
five two.
6. Out of
1
6.
5 2 6 4 2 4 3.
Yeah, I'd put it at number like 4th in the top 6, if you get me.
Yeah, I think I had 1 5 2 4 or 1 5 2. I had 3 6 4, but I think this overall is probably more visually better than 3.
Yeah.
But without a rewatch, again, I'm gonna leave my list where it is.
Right.
And rewatch it. But what we might do in a couple of weeks is, if we all get a chance to rewatch it a second time, we'll do a straight ranking the franchise episode.
Exactly. That's what we'll do.
How's
Will you
that
come on for that, will you?
Yeah, of course I will. Yeah.
He's already signed in. He's already checked in and ready to go.
He's signing blood.
More talking about Scream. I love it.
But for tonight, lads, overall, go and watch it. Make your own decision.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth watching. Like, as much as the negative things we've said about it and how we didn't like the end of it, it's definitely worth watching.
Absolutely.
Like, it's, this is 4th in the list of like a series of 6, which makes it sound bad, But as I said, 3 is at the bottom of mine, and I like 3. I'd put 3 ahead of a lot of other films.
Absolutely. But you think 1 is amazing? It takes a lot to get near that, and 5 got close.
Yeah.
For me, 5 got close, but wasn't.
Well, I said that after my first watch of 5. I said 5 was the second best one. When we did the show, and everyone was like, no, 2, it's 1 2 5. I was like, no, lads, once you get a chance to rewatch that, it's 1 5 2 easily 1 5 2.
Yeah. But then tonight, lads, it's been a pleasure to have you back.
Absolutely. Back on the show.
I'm gonna do this the way I do it every Friday night.
Yeah.
It won't be in the words of Wes Craven, I'm afraid, which might have been fitting, but I don't think he had a great catch line. It will be in the words of the great George A. Romero, ladies and gentlemen. Stay scared.